Welcome to HawkTalk. My name is Parker Robinson, and I'm joined by Nathaniel Easton. We don't have a coach with us this week, but a familiar face at DSU events, so I'm sure you've seen him around. We're joined by Sam Evers of the Dickinson Press. Thank you for joining us, Sam.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So just guide us through, you're somewhat new to the Dickinson area, so just talk a little bit about how you ended up here and how that happened.
Well, I've been here about 7 months, actually about 7 months to the day. And I moved here in about August, and before that I was a kind of the same thing, sports reporter working for a paper in Boston, the Boston Globe. But that wasn't really a full-time gig. It was about a year out of college. So this is what kind of brought me here. Is I was just looking for more of a full-time job and full-time role, and kind of just to be able to write my own stories and stuff like that. So that's kind of what brought me to Dickinson.
Yeah, definitely, and you've seen a lot of success in DSU athletics.
Definitely.
Just kicking off with football.
Yeah.
How fun was it to watch a team just win and win and win like that?
Yeah, it was awesome. The football team was a lot of fun to cover, and Coach Stanton is really a good guy, and all the players were really helpful and talking to me and giving me good stuff. And then like you said, it was just awesome that they kept winning. And I think I covered almost all of their games. I missed a few, and I think I missed one in Jamestown and a few other places in Waldorf because I was pretty far. But I traveled with the team a little bit, and then I got to go down to Butte, Montana for their playoff game, which they lost. But just overall, it was really cool experience just in kind of beat writing, which is what I want to do.
Coming from the East Coast, not sure what the NAIA footprint is out there.
Yeah.
So did you have much of an idea of what level Dickinson State was going to be athletically when you got here, and if so or if not, what kind of has stood out to you with the level of competitiveness out here?
Well, I knew a little bit about the NAIA, which is we don't really have any of those types of schools on the East Coast, but I knew about it because Scottie Pippen went to an NAIA school, and I had just read a kind of a biography about him. So that kind of coincided with me seeing this job opening, which is kind of interesting. But besides that, I didn't know a whole lot about it. As soon as I got the job, I started crunching numbers on DSU and things like that. And I thought it was kind of a cool level. And it was cool as in, there wasn't a whole lot of competitiveness. We're the only newspaper out here, which I liked. I wasn't going to be competing with other people for stories, and I had full access to the coaches, which was cool. Which I think sometimes at other NCAA, NCAA Division II schools and whatnot, that's not as easy. So that was something that was kind of a perk, is just to be able to be around everybody, and everybody was kind of willing to accept me and listen to my questions. So.
Definitely, we're lucky to have the Dickinson Press and Sam here covering Dickinson State and all things really in the area. Lots of regional high schools as well count on the Dickinson Press. And when you look at other schools in our conference, they're not as fortunate to have the type of coverage we do.
You guys say that on Twitter all the time, I see.
But also you talked about access with the coach. So kind of as we transition into basketball, you got to spend a lot of time with Coach Grappe.
Oh yes,
we've had him on here. He's quite a character.
Yes. I always say Coach Grappe is the best quote I've ever had. And the great thing about Coach is you just ask him one question, and he'll speak for the next 10 minutes and give you all the quotes you need. But he's just a really entertaining guy, and he's got a really interesting kind of his history in basketball, which is something I got to talk to him a lot about. Is he's kind of just been in basketball his whole life, and almost every different level. And so he's just been an absolute pleasure to work with. He's always available to talk, and that's something that I've really kind of cherished is time talking to him, because he's just a great basketball mind.
And with Coach Wetzel, the men's team had as a successful of the season as basically anyone could kind of remember, and that kind of put the onus on you and Coach to kind of try to figure out just how successful of a year it was. So talk about how you use the data and the different tools you needed to use to kind of try to quantify how good of a year it was.
Well, the joke with Coach Wetzel is, I asked him probably about 20 times this year, when was the last time that happened? They 20 wins for the first time since 2004. Regular season champs for the first time since 2001. And there's a whole bunch of other things I'm probably not thinking of, but it really was a lot of fun speaking with him and just trying to kind of put this whole season in a historical context. Because I suppose, if you're living in Tennessee at an NAIA school, you don't really know, the history of Dickinson State basketball. But just being here and seeing it and kind of knowing what this season meant to those guys was something that was really cool. And they were a lot of fun to cover, too. And I'm kind of a basketball guy. And then, they had a lot of really talented players that were really fit well together. So it was fun to cover them and watch them.
So in your 7 months here, what would you say your favorite story has been if you had to pick one or two?
Oh, man. That's tough. Let me think for a little bit. Well, I did a story on when Jamestown announced they were going to head to the GPAC. I kind of had fun with this story going back in the archives and in the press archive room and just kind of, trying to put the DSU Jamestown again in like a historical thing. And, I found out things like, the first time they played was 1928, and they've had a scoreless tie before. And I think they've played almost 100 times. So that was cool writing about that. I'd say I've written a couple of features I'm proud of. There was one that comes to mind about the running back on DSU, Trey Boone. He was an interesting kid, and the cool thing is that my sports editor basically gave me free range to write as much as I wanted about that, so it ended up being really long. And that was cool. And then just pretty much any story that has Coach Grape in it is usually going to be pretty funny, at least from a quotes perspective. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. DSU were fortunate enough to have students from all over the world, really. So
definitely.
So what's kind of your takeaway from that?
Just basically having a bunch of people come together and. Yeah, I would say that's the cool thing about sports, is that, maybe without the sports program, and I don't know this for sure, but maybe without the sports program, you don't get, Noe from American Samoa or all the women on the basketball team. I think there's 3 Australians on the basketball team, another Australian on the men's team, and then so many people from California, which is kind of a, a hot recruiting area for DSU. Which I just think is awesome, and it's, of course I don't know this for sure, but it seems like maybe they wouldn't be here without sports, and that's given me a chance to meet a couple of people from different places that I never would have met before, including Dickinson and Montana and South Dakota and stuff, where if I had never come here. So I would say that's probably been the coolest thing.
Yeah, definitely. And so moving towards the end of the basketball season, we can put our Joe Lenardi bracketology hats on. What do you see for the men's and women's team moving into potentially a tournament?
Well, I think it's kind of tough for me to say. And one thing a good point that Coach Grape was making yesterday was he's always, preaching the strength of schedule that his guys have had. It's something he'll bring up even if you don't ask him about it. So he's kind of hoping that helps them get in. I know obviously they needed Valley to lose to Jamestown in the finals, and they did that. But, just from my perspective, and another point that he was making was that it's hard in the NAIA because, there's pockets all around the country that know, the Frontier Conference is really tough. But, I don't know anything about the, conference in Florida, right? So the representative in Florida might not know anything about, Minot State and the Frontier Conference and the teams that DSU has played. But, hopefully they do some of their research because, if you've seen the women's basketball team, they're, it's a very good product. They're a very good team, really experienced team. And I do think they definitely deserve to be in the national tournament.
When we have our athletes on, we kind of talk about the next step, once their playing careers are done. And part of the industry is anyone who's lived in Dickinson understands, it's people move on from the Dickinson press. So not to necessarily ask you what the next step is, but kind of in a holistic journalistic viewpoint, what do you think the future of, what do you think that not the Dickinson press, but what do you think newspapers will be 10, 20 years down the line?
That's an ominous question.
I know.
Well, you hope that they find a way to sort of survive somehow, whether it's, cutting down on the physical size of the newspaper or going, just online. But, it's a very valuable thing. And you guys, thankfully, I really appreciate that. You two in particular. And, I respect that a lot. And it's certainly something that can help a community, come together, especially such a small paper like this, where it's just, me and Parker Cotton are the two sports guys, and we hope we do a good job of just kind of, informing, the community, I suppose, and just kind of getting names out there, which has just been a blast for me, for sure. And so, you hope a small newspaper like this, whether it's just online or whether it's, only a Sunday paper or something like that, can kind of, survive through the internet age, and, fingers crossed for that.
Yeah, no, I think the importance of journalism is taking on a new light due to different things happening.
No need to go into
at
that.
different levels. Yeah, but I mean, I think we all appreciate the ability to see behind a helmet, see behind the basketball jersey, and really get to know folks, as well as figure out how the team's doing. So we want to thank you for stopping by.
Oh, of course.
Great
Thanks a lot,
insight
fellas.
and obviously great stories. Continue checking out the Dickinson Press. Hopefully we're going to have an article about at least one of our teams making the national tournament
hopefully.
coming up real soon.
Yep, it's today.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, we'll be back with the Blue Feather Focus. We'll be talking to a wrestler.
Life is full of many successes, achievements, stages. Every year we grow, things change, and pretty soon we realize we want and need to do more. When you're ready for that next step, Dickinson State University will get you there. Find out how at dsublue.com.
Welcome back to Hawk Talk. This is our Blue Feather Focus, the Blue Feather Athletic Association, the funding body for athletics under the DSU Heritage Foundation. And we're joined by one of our student athletes, a wrestler, Ethan Goss-Dickey. Go ahead and introduce yourself, where you're from and what you're studying.
My name is Ethan. I'm a freshman wrestler. I wrestle heavyweight, and I'm a math education major, originally from Montana.
Very nice. You grew up in St. Ignatius, Montana,
yeah.
a Class C school like myself, correct?
Yeah, little small town, and then made my way over to Dickinson.
Yeah. What was it like growing up in a small town, competing on that level?
I like to take a lot of pride coming from BC, just because tough small town farm kids, get scrappy.
Yeah, definitely. And they've turned out a lot of good wrestlers, including yourself.
Yeah.
So what's the transition been like coming to Dickinson?
I took some lumps as a freshman, obviously, just making the transition from high school to college. Basically just kind of got to learn that, basically had to relearn how to wrestle, of just always moving forward, staying in position, same old.
Yeah, definitely a different pace to that. Yeah. But also, what's the transition been like from an academic standpoint coming to Dickinson?
I really like the academics here, and I'm also a TR scholar, so the academic transition wasn't too bad.
One of my favorite memories of Ethan, probably my first memory, is when you found out through the TR program there's the mentoring system, and you found out your mentor was none other than starting quarterback Kayla Ray. So just talk about that relationship and how excited you were to see him on the field.
Yeah, Kayla's a really good guy, and having him as a mentor really helped make the academic transition. And yeah, Kayla's just like a big brother.
Kind of got involved right away with the cheering vocally. Vocally at sporting events.
I'll make sure I'm heard.
With what is you've taken on the kind of the Blue Hawk pride from the get-go.
Absolutely.
So just touch on what that means, even before you were competing, to kind of see fellow TR members and roommates, classmates, all like.
Just DSU's an awesome school, and once you get involved, you're just involved forever.
Part of that involvement is going to take on another life for you next year. Touch on the being an RA and why you decided to seek that opportunity.
Yeah, I got hired to be an RA for next year, and it's a pretty great opportunity, just because be able to help make the transition for other freshmen and make sure they're well suited here at Dickinson State.
Now we'll kind of get into some of the wrestling on mat success. You talked about you took some lumps early on, but at the same time, I think you showed a lot of growth throughout the year. A couple different home duels came down to the end where it was you out there, and that's kind of a tough spot to be in, needing a certain amount of points. But you went out there and represented yourself quite well.
Yeah, obviously, I took some lumps at the beginning, but one thing that we always stress in our program is that the podium doesn't care how old you are, and you got to come out and compete regardless of your age.
that one of the times you got to be on the podium was none other than the Tyler Plummer Classic.
Yeah.
And obviously the Tyler Plummer Classic means a lot to the folks in the community, to the wrestling program, because of the guy that Tyler was. So how nice was it to, in your freshman year, walk away with the belt buckle?
Yeah, it was awesome, really amazing, especially just to bring home that belt buckle for the home fans and just make sure they know that they support us and they're appreciated.
Yep. And touching on some different elements of wrestling, it's a team sport, but you're not out there competing with the team, but you're practicing a lot with the guys. How great was the leadership from some of the seniors?
It was awesome. Like, I do not have enough good things to say about our seniors. Like, one of the reasons I wasn't worried about adjusting socially for college is that because I'm an athlete, like, my wrestling team is my family, and I can go to them for anything. And the seniors were really good about taking me under their wing and make sure I learned the ropes.
With a lot of those seniors, this being their last year, or so much of the team, I should say, being seniors, that's kind of leaves the door open down the line for leadership. So what did you take away from them that you think you can instill? You'll still be an underclassman, but what kind of things do you think you can apply to next year and to that transition for future freshmen?
Just that attitude of never being satisfied. We have that on our wall in our room of just never being satisfied and always pushing forward and leading by example.
With kind of a tough break at regionals, how does that serve you as motivation after a pretty solid freshman year to fall just short of making it to that national tournament?
Obviously, like, I'd like to be at that national tournament, but it just gotta look at how far I came, like transitioning to from high school into college, and then just looking at that, knowing how much farther I can go for next year and the years beyond that.
With that national tournament coming up, the seniors, it's their last opportunity. So just to give the folks an idea of who's going from the team and what you think they're capable of.
At 33s, we've got Gresh Jones, and he has a very good shot of All-American, possibly even winning it. And then at 49s, we have Seth Elang, a highly ranked wrestler. 57, Sean Elkins, who has a very good shot at winning nationals. And then at 84, we have Lane Overson and John Solano, who both have shots at winning national titles.
What's the dynamic with those two, both at the same weight, kind of pushing each other, and do they bump up and help you a little bit, or who's your go-to partner in the room?
I wrestle a lot with Hudson Buck, who's an assistant coach this year, and he's really helped me a lot. And then the dynamic with Lane and John is just, it's serious, but like, they know their teammates and they've got each other's backs.
Yep, definitely. So looking forward over your next 4 years, obviously getting involved in a lot of leadership roles, what are you looking forward to most over the next few years?
Just continuing to build the Dickinson State Wrestling program and going on to do great things.
Definitely. And so you said your math education, so obviously looking to teach something very honorable. What brought you into that program?
Well, I started as a accounting major and just kind of, it wasn't for me. So I looked at what I really like, and I like math and I like coaching. So I figured I'll go be a teacher and coach wrestling.
Is Montana somewhere you want to return, or does it not, wherever the pieces fall? So
yeah, kind of wherever the pieces fall. We'll see.
There's a lot of Dickinson wrestlers that have gone on to teach. We know Trevor Conrad very well. He's coaching and teaching at Dickinson High. Yeah. Well, he's not teaching at Dickinson High, teaching in the Dickinson public schools. So that kind of foundation is there. How nice is it to have a program that you've got alumni that can come back and share relatable experiences?
Yeah, absolutely. We like to think that DSU wrestling is a brotherhood, and like even guys that have been on the team in the past that I haven't wrestled with, I've met, and like they're my brothers just as much as guys on the team.
Yeah, definitely quite the environment that wrestling creates adds to that. So what's in your one semester and some change here? What's your favorite memory looking back at your time?
There's a lot. Let's see. Just kind of those like small moments, like in the practice room of just being with my brothers and scrapping and getting better.
With being a freshman, you'll probably make a return to HawkTalk. You got some time down the years, but we always ask our student athletes what their pitch would be to recruits, and a lot of times they're seniors, so they wouldn't necessarily be teammates. So as a freshman, you could potentially be recruiting some of your teammates for 3-4 years. So what would your recruiting pitch to be to join the wrestling team?
That at Dickinson, we might not have the shiny equipment, but we have amazing people and amazing coaches that will help push you beyond what you thought was possible.
All right, well said. You're gonna see a lot from Ethan in the years to come. Got a stronghold on that heavyweight position, so he'll be at the end of those duels, those home duels. He'll try to defend those Tyler Plummer belt buckles, and hopefully we'll be talking about his trips to the national tournaments in years to come. Great freshman season. Thanks for joining us.
Yep. Thanks, Ethan. Make sure you check out dsubluehawks.com to keep up to date on what may happen with the basketball teams, hopefully looking forward to nationals, so make sure you keep an eye on that.
Also, the wrestling team, keep track of wrestling results on dsubluehawks.com. There'll be an opportunity to watch some of Ethan's teammates compete, hopefully vie in for some national titles.
Yep. Thanks, and we'll see you next week. Hawks are up.